Today I want to draw your attention to important planetary configuration coming on December 9th, 2025, the square of Mars and Saturn. This is not a casual transit, it is one of the most serious alignments of the near future, setting the tone for the final stretch of the year. Welcome back to my channel, Astrobabushka. It's Irina K, and I'm Vedic astrologer, and I apply ancient, more than 3,000 years old knowledge to modern times. So in the beginning of December, Mars moves through Mula Nakshatra. Mula symbol is root. Mula's energy is radical, surgical, and karmic. It digs beneath appearances and cuts through illusion. Events born under Mula often pull something out by its roots, whether that means the exposure of hidden power structures, the collapse of long-standing arrangements, or literal destruction that clears the way for rebuilding. Mars in this field acts like fire meeting dry roots. It does not negotiate, it purifies by force. Such a Mars demands honesty. Anything built on deception or weakness tends to break apart quickly when Mula is active. At the same time, Mars passes directly over the fixed star Lesath, and it is a tip of Scorpion's tail. In ancient lore, Lesath marks the venomous sting, the final strike of Scorpio energy. Lesath carries the vibration of penetration, secrecy, and danger. It belongs to the realm of spies, chemists, surgeons, and soldiers, the ones who work with hidden tools, with poisons or antidotes, with what lies unseen. When Mars, planet of conflict, aligns with Lesath, we can see intensified warfare, covert operations, or accidents involving weapons and toxins. History gives us reminders. In December 2023, under another Mars-Saturn square, the world saw extreme manifestations of this violent force. The Israel-Hamas war was full-blown after attack in October 2023. Bringing nearly 4,000 civilian deaths in a single month from heavy airstrikes. In Ukraine, Russia launched one of its largest missile and drone assaults, killing dozens and wounding hundreds, while retaliatory shelling hit Belgorod inside Russia. It was a Sudan civil war, and it's escalated with widespread aerial bombardment. And conflicts in Myanmar and Syria continued, each with hundreds of civilian casualties. Now, these are expressions of the same Mars-Saturn archetype: pressure, retribution, and the breaking of limits. Across the sky, Saturn will be standing in Purva Bhadrapada Nakshatra, ruled by Jupiter, but fierce and uncompromising. And I believe it's still sharing same nakshatra with Rahu, which amplifies this square. This is the field, though, of the ascetic and the reformer, the one who renounces the old world to ignite a new one. Purva Bhadrapada is not peaceful, it burns for purification. Here, Saturn acts as the enforcer of consequence. It demands accountability where Mars only wants to act. When these two form a square, tension arises between impulse and restraint, between the urge to strike and the law that resists. Adding another layer here, Saturn will be within 2 degrees of the fixed star Markab in Pegasus. Markab symbolizes steadfastness through turbulence. It can bring tests of moral and mental endurance. Saturn near Markab often corresponds with collective crises that require composure and controlled strength. So as Mars ignites Mula and Saturn steadies near Markab, the image becomes heat meeting steel, the cutting edge of transformation through discipline. This exact square unfolds across 1 degree of Sagittarius and 1 degree of Pisces, and anyone with personal planets or ascendant around those degrees should take a special care. I personally have a rising sign right near Mars. So, and the energy can feel like pressing the accelerator and brake at once. Try to avoid impulsive action, overexertion, and needless confrontation. Instead, direct this force toward strategy, structure, and endurance. Mars and Saturn together can achieve great results when willpower is guided by patience. Now, check out my second part for this video where I will go all in depth for rising signs. And here I will continue analyzing mundane charts now with my screen recording. And I will map this configuration across nations and astrocartography lines to show where these pressure points may appear on Earth. So this is the second part of for the video about Mars square Saturn in beginning of December 2025. I will start with astrocartography. And here we see the intersection of Mars with a Saturn on descendant right near the Hong Kong and Taiwan. So in the charts directly of China or Taiwan, there's not much trigger points there by this square. But whatever is happening here, I would say it's worth noticing because it can be a period when the intersection happens and during the square, when there's an increased public tension or restlessness, because Saturn is sitting on the 10th house, it's a descendant line. So there can be some heightened involvement of external authorities or governmental bodies, governing bodies. It can be some strained negotiations with foreign powers, visible political or administrative pressure, symbolic events that draw international attention. Now, definitely can be some sort of confrontations involving partners or rivals. So China with Taiwan is first and foremost what comes to my mind. Now, just to point another line here of concern. And the Mars descendant line will be crossing with the Saturn line over here in the area near Lesath. So somewhere here, as I mentioned in my video. And then there will be another area, a little tense can be, is here, over here. Now going to Venezuela, Caracas. Here we see Saturn with Mars involved and entangled with each other. And at this point, I will start to go over charts. And I'm gonna start with the USA 1776 chart. And in 1776 chart, we can see that Mars, Saturn, Mars will be within few degrees of ascendant of the whole country, squaring Saturn, sitting on the 4th house of national stability, national land. This is a period where Mars can amplify this military posture of the nation. And as a result, the whole collective mood. It can press country to act, or at least appear ready to act, even when caution would serve better. Now, Saturn was turning stationary direct on with a 0 degree in Pisces in the end of November. And then just within a few days, on the December 9th, it is in exact square with Mars. Saturn, although with the Markab, the star that is more or less adds this stability that holds under pressure. So that can be a saving grace. And I will mention this fixed star a lot because it can actually have a will have power to stop this volatile Mars in Sagittarius with a star Lesath, a very tricky star. But we will see. Now, natal Mars here is a 0 degree in Gemini. So that's mean the transit Mars will be directly opposing it. And the Mars in this chart rules 5th and 12th houses. So 12 houses is faraway lands. First and foremost, it can bring this problems with the faraway lands. But as we know, Venezuela, even though it's sort of not that far, but it's across the body of the water. So I would say it is very, very likely that the tension between them can escalate. Now, at the same time, Saturn, right, in the 4th house, so it's a 4-10 axis, and here we see Neptune. So not Saturn opposing natal Neptune, and in back Neptune opposing back its own house Pisces, the Neptune that is ruling the 4th house. So it's the question about inner stability versus public authority. And it's connected with the bodies of water because Neptune is involved in this aspect. So it can show pressure in leadership, questions of direction, debates over national responsibility as well. Again, identity, domestic affairs, foreign relations, and government all come under this square. Now, after this, I want to watch the inauguration chart because inauguration chart we should not ignore. It's the chart that shows the assassination on Charlie Kirk directly. And even though I predicted that assassinations are quite likely on my lunar eclipse video, I I'm sorry, I didn't check the chart of inauguration. And if I did check, I would say that I would put a big emphasis on it. Now, in inauguration chart, the Mars transit Mars will be passing the 9th house, and the Saturn will be on the 12th house again, emphasizing the faraway lands. And it's also Neptune here, and Rahu. Rahu is amplifier, and Neptune is a bodies of water. So Mars can bring, because it's also Lagnesh here and the ruler of the 8th house, which brings sudden transformation, sudden actions. And in the 9th house squaring the 12th, it can bring this heightened military tension, domestic agitations, feeding foreign responses, and reactive decision making rather than patient strategy. And the involvement of the star Lesath can correlate with covert operations, targeted pressure, and sudden decisions again. So Mars squaring this natal Rahu as well, that Saturn will be also sitting in the 12th house, can suggest impulsive foreign actions, hidden operations becoming visible, misjudgment in overseas engagements, escalations triggered by misinformation or desire to project power. So altogether, Mars with Lesath in the 9th house squaring Saturn with a Markab, that hopefully will bring some stabilizing into this difficult square. But nonetheless, it definitely will create strain in foreign policy, temptation toward forceful gestures, and escalation in already stressed regions. Now, here we see that Mars and Saturn lines goes directly through Venezuela, not very, I mean, it's very close to Caracas. So, and next we are going to check Venezuela constitutional chart of 1999. So we remember that Mars is in the that's interesting. Wait, it's interesting that inauguration chart is Aries, and both Venezuela chart is also Aries. And here Mars is transit Mars right on the Sun. Sun is the leader of the country. So first and foremost, what we can say is that the leader of the country under direct danger. Now, here, Mars is also aspecting, transit Mars will aspect Rahu, and Rahu in the 4th house. It's a domestic questions, and it acts like a moon in the 2nd house. So it can bring agitation in the public, outbreaks of unrest or emotional volatility, public anger, strikes, sudden mobilizations, fear or reaction toward an external threat. And star Lesath here will intensify this. Now Saturn again in the 12th house here, with stabilizing amidst the chaos, star Markab. So it can be heaviness, loss of trust in authorities, responsibility falling into leadership, but also there can be some like restriction or restriction and or stabilization of restriction, something like this. So again, the sun in the national chart is the head of the state. It's executive, it's vitality of leadership, and it is in danger. It is in danger. Can be because it's connection also with the 12th house. It can be political isolation, a leadership crisis, loss of control as well. Okay, so Venezuela's inauguration chart, let's see. And here also in Sagittarius we have Sun with Mercury. Sun is far in degrees because Mars is in the 1st degree of Sagittarius and Sun here in the 26th, but still, they share the same house. And the most important here is that Sun transit Mars that's squaring Saturn is aspecting with the 8th aspect natal Mars. In natal Mars here, ruler of the 2nd and 9. And remember that Saturn that's squaring natal Mars is passing through Rahu and Neptune again, this around the same degree in Pisces. So again, bodies of waters will be involved. So something on the waters. So here, very similar symbolism, and it's consistent with the Venezuela's 1999 chart. It's a pressure on leadership, tension in public affairs, because it's a 5th house. Pressure on leadership because it's ruling the 9th house. And Mars here activates executive action, military presence, political confrontation, rapid or reactive decision making. And now here, Saturn sitting on Rahu can bring loss of control, internal factional pressure, again, public unrest and dissatisfaction because it's the 1st house. And challenges involving foreign relations because Rahu, first and foremost, it's everything foreign in the country. So square between 110 involving houses 12, 11, 2nd, 9. So it all speaks about that Mars will push the action, Saturn will try to restrict and compress, and Rahu, will Rahu stay under the influence of Saturn, or it will magnify the pressure and unpredictability. Some abrupt moves made under pressure. So Mars here might act nonetheless, but because of the pressure of Saturn that rules 12th house of foreign lands. So just to summarize, I'm not saying anything, I'm just suggesting that body waters involved, both United States inauguration and natal chart and Venezuela natal chart in inauguration chart, screams about foreign tensions. Specifically in Venezuela, the head of country is in danger, and you say is more like attacking chart, and Venezuela is more like Mars has to act from under the pressure from in external pressure. Now, NATO chart will be next, and here also we can see full spectrum activation because a lot of houses are involved here, like nearly every sphere of the chart is touched, creating a climate where decisions carry weight and alliances will have to feel the pressure of rapid change. So Mars is transiting fourth house of land and aspecting Moon with a very tight degree in 10th house. Moon and Uranus here in the 10th house. If you watched recently my video about Zahran Mamdani and his future inauguration chart in January 2026, he has also Moon, not him, but inauguration chart, the swearing in, like oath ceremony chart, has a Moon with Uranus, but in the 9th house. It's interesting because this will be like some sort of correlation of how the mayoral term will look and feel for the New York, like very similar to NATO. It's like a public public mood, people moon coming together with Uranus, with the reforms, with reformations, with sometimes sudden and abrupt changes. But here it is not ruling the whole chart. Although ascendant, no. So nonetheless, Moon, again, it's a public mood, it's a shared emotion, it's a collective body of the alliance. And NATO is like basically all Europe. And Uranus sudden shifts. Now, when Mars aspecting directly those parts in the chart, it can amplify this heightened alertness or military readiness, a strategic surprise or rapid reassessment, internal stress within member states, fast-moving situations requiring unified response. I just, like a couple of hours ago, after bringing kids to school, I was reading in news that, like, for example, Germany, it's basically making full-blown militarization right now. So this is something that, Mars, ruler of the 8th house here, sudden changes, and the 3rd house of efforts, aspecting to the outside world. This is like a picture of like a bold actions of the 10th house. So it's it's already some sort of happening. Also here, let's not forget that Saturn squaring Mars, right? And Saturn is aspecting directly the ascendant. It's within 4 or 5 degrees. So Saturn with Markab, with a star Markab, brings weight, accountability, and demand for composure. So Mars expresses and Saturn try to resist. Saturn here ruling the 5th and 6th houses. I feel like it can be a pressure to present this unified front for the whole world. It has to be done abruptly, suddenly, and there's need to manage both escalation and restraint. Both Saturn and Mars are affecting those stellium planets in the 7th house of alliances, although it's very far in degree. But nonetheless, it casts their influence on alliances and treaties, open adversaries, diplomatic relations, conflict, and negotiation dynamic. So it can, the alliance, the NATO itself, can be drawn into situations that will demand coordinated action. This may bring intensified diplomacy, friction with rivals, renewed commitments or disputes between partners, decisions about intervention or support. So the entire chart is affected
let's see, it's a first house, because here, like all planets here are ruling all the houses. 12 first, yes, there's all houses are activated directly, and specifically moon, public and ascended, a physical body of the country. So this is like a turning point of for NATO's strategic identity. There's something that was bubbling a long time ago. Now it's like coming to a form. Heightened collective stress will be happening. Likelihood of rapid geopolitical developments and the need to balance force with a discipline. So it's a phase of intensified responsibility where the alliance's choices shape the trajectory of future policy. Next, we will see the Palestine chart. Palestine is under my special attention because Saturn and Mars in the natal chart already making a square. But right now, Mars is transiting over Saturn within like 4 or 5 degrees, which is close. Also, Uranus there. And Saturn is transiting a little bit far, but still within 8-degree orb. Mars, natal Mars. So it's the transit square activates internal square, the natal square, and it's like almost parivartana, but within the transit. So Mars on transit Mars on natal Saturn with Lesath, this Scorpio star involved, can bring direct clashes or confrontations, heightened military or militant activity, pressure on leadership groups, youth, because it's a fifth house, symbolic national identity. It can be, again, rapid escalation that is based and triggered by old wounds, by old grief. 5th house is the heart of the nation. It's a public emotion, and here Mars over Saturn can bring deep collective reaction. Now, transit Saturn on with Markab on Mars, natal Mars, because Mars here is a natal chart, is Yoga Karaka, ruling the 4th house of throne, political throne, and 9th house is also the house that symbolizes the head of the governance. So basically, Saturn here bringing restriction through force. And even though this Mars is squaring to the transit Mars, it's forcing actions. The transit Mars forcing to act the natal Mars, which is the governmental body. And I would say that confrontation is unavoidable. But again, hopefully the Saturn with Markab, with the star Markab over natal Mars, will have some sort of restrictive and stabilizing force. So again, to wrap it up, there are high chances of escalated confrontations with rivals. There's internal strain and external pressure at the same time. There's a very deeply emotional and reactive public atmosphere. There's intensified involvement from foreign and regional forces. And something can trigger this unresolved conflict. And now, Israel. In Israel chart, the same. We see a very close picture. So the Mars is transiting natal Jupiter, very close in degree, and third house is a house of neighboring countries. And it's ruled by sixth house of fight. And Mars is ruling second and seventh house. It's a bringing disruptive energies into the house, into the area with the neighboring countries. So again, can be intensified, and it is opposing natal Uranus in the ninth house. So intensified military activity near borders are highly anticipated here. Confrontations with neighbors, rapid or forceful diplomacy. And now, transit Saturn in the sixth house squaring this, right? So they both force to act each other. So maybe Saturn will have some grasp on this Mars. But Saturn also aspecting with a third aspect Sun, the head of the country. If Markab, the star Markab, will really act as it promised to act, to stabilize, then it will calm down the trying to act out Mars and military actions with a shock and disruptive and destruction energy, and also maybe it will pacify the leader of the country. But some challenge is definitely possible on the border. Let's double check, cross check with the Netanyahu inauguration chart of 2022. Sorry. Here Mars will transit seventh house, and Saturn will be transiting natal Moon and Jupiter. It is not the same degree as Sun, and it's very far, but still, Mars is, pushing towards action, the head of the country. It's like, come on, let's do it. Mars is also ruling the sixth house of military actions. Saturn has a stabilizing or restrictive power over in the 10th house. So some sort of aggressive actions triggered by something are likely, but hopefully Saturn with Markab will have this pressure from foreign forces to not act. So overall, I think in this exact situation, it will temper some impulsive reactions, and it will help leadership act with restraint rather than emotion. But military tension is high likely, and public agitation and fast-moving developments are high likely. Now, interesting that in going to King Charles' chart, so I have his natal chart and his inauguration chart. It's both Cancer, both 12 degrees. This is very interesting that they chose the ceremony time of So it's strengthening his position overall. But getting back to the Mars and Saturn square. So Mars is going over his Jupiter. And Saturn squaring Mars, transit Mars, is going over the third house. It can bring a tone of agitation around the role and the public face of the monarch. Mars with Lesath as a ruler of the ninth in the sixth, it will push the sense of visibility, exposes vulnerability, and heightens emotional strain. And it also aspecting the first house, the body itself. So it can be also some I don't know, I can think about how Mars can act. It can be some inflammation to the physical body. At the same time, Saturn here, ruler of 8, going through the third, but near Markab. So it can bring this responsibility and restraint. It can be heavy duty, so probably on the body it's heavy, but he still need to keep going. He needs to still to make a public appearance and to be there. So it can be a sense of carrying a burden for him that cannot be delegated. Okay, so the last chart I'm gonna go over today is a Pakistan chart. And on December 2025, this transit strike most sensitive structural points. Both Mars and Saturn. So Mars in transiting 9th house and it's opposing 3rd house. Saturn squaring Mars, transiting, aspecting with a 3rd aspect, the Rahu. And from February 2026, the country will go to the Antardasha of Rahu. And Rahu will be acting like a Venus in the 4th house, ruler of the difficult Markab houses. So here, alert mode for tension with the neighboring countries. Strong reactions to border issues or regional provocations, decisions made quickly under emotion, and the resurfacing of 8th house themes, crisis, secrets, and pressure. With this star Lesath involved, Mars acts very volatile, very sharp, like a blade. It can surface appearances and exposes underlying issues, forcing a response even when restraint would be wiser. Saturn transiting 12th house represents heavy responsibility, unseen strain, pressure behind closed doors, pressure from the external forces, and consequences of past decisions. So there is no specific event that can be predicted right now. But I would say there's some tension can happen, and the should be a period for management of the country to be careful and not to act out of the sudden emotional reactive mood, because there's a definitely can be a tension around the homeland or domestic stabilities and events that steer national sentiment.
So as we approach December 9, remember, Mula digs deep, Lesath stinks, and Markab steadies. The world may again feel tense, but astrology's role is not to frighten, it's to help us stay awake and just in case be ready. When the sky grows sharp, clarity becomes protection. These are the moments when awareness, restraint, and quiet courage make all the difference. Thank you for watching, and don't miss video analysis for all rising signs. Like, subscribe, it costs you nothing to you and help my channel grow, and algorithm will push this video more. Let's connect in the comment section or through social media. Bye.